right, going to do a video about redshirt freshmen to watch out for. And typically, I feel like you have an even distribution of, you got some title contenders coming out, some guys who can contend for All-American status, and then you've got a mix of guys, or you don't know how they're going to do. So I've broken it down into basically 3 categories, right? We got the roll of the dice guys, where like maybe, maybe not. You got the looking good category where these guys had solid years, but you don't have quite the amount of data to suggest they're going to do it. And then you got the watch out guys that I feel super confident that are going to do really well. Tyler's just laughing because he thinks watch out's funny, I guess. But the watch out category, and I'm going to start with that one. And I'm already going to contradict myself probably 40 seconds into the video because I was talking all about data and stuff like that. Well, I have 3 guys in the watch out, and 2 of them have a combined 2 matches in NCAA wrestling. So already I'm a liar, but I think you'll be with me. We'll start with the number 1 watch out guy, Dayton Pitzer from Pitt. If you were paying any attention last year, this dude was one of the top storylines because everyone wondered, will Dayton get his red shirt pulled? Will he wrestle? Because with the new awesome 5 free competition rule, we got to see a lot of Dayton Pitzer. He wrestled 10 matches. He was 7-3. And so that's sort of like a, not the best record. There's guys with certainly better numerical records than what Dayton had. But what is in that those 7 wins are what stands out. All of his wins were over NCAA qualifiers, okay? Most of the guys I'm going to talk about have wins over 1 or 2. He has wins over 7. Then you say, okay, an NCAA qualifier, well, that could be the 33, the 32. Well, he beat Colton Schultz. Guy's a 3-time All-American, NCAA finalist. He beat Trent Hilger, multiple-time All-American, okay? So he's beaten some really, really good guys. He beat 5 other really solid guys, and all his losses were really acceptable. And that's another thing we'll look at a lot. Did you lose to a lot of guys that are, not even NCAA qualifier level? Because that says something to you too. And so having acceptable losses is a real thing. So Dayton Pitzer is going to be a heavyweight. And it was interesting. JD and Tyler visited Pitt. This guy was walking around at 217 last year. 217 as a true freshman. So obviously, 285 weight class, he has a lot of room to grow and get bigger. Now, he'll never be a full-size 285, far from it. But if his goal has been to gain size, and if he's able to do that, his top work, how good he is from the top position, is a game changer. And outside of Wyatt Hendrickson, I'm not sure there's a better top wrestler at the heavyweight class. So keep your eye out for Dayton Pitzer. I feel certain he's going to be a top 10 guy most of the year and someone that's very likely to finish on the podium. He's that good. I think getting with the Kirkfleet and Hendrickson, I don't see there. But can he go with a Cassiope, a Colton Schultz, who he's already beaten? Can he go with the Lucas Davisons? I think yes. I think this year, yes, he can contend with those guys. I think that's going to be more or less his tier. Let's get to another guy. This guy had 0 matches. Nick Feldman. I don't care. I do not care that he hasn't wrestled any NCAA matches. Well, for one, because that's partially untrue, because he was entering D1 Opens as a high schooler. But 2, I've seen enough. I know this kid can wrestle on his feet with anyone. I know he's going to be good enough on the mat. He's the complete package. I feel certain that as long as he's healthy, which is true for every single person I'm going to talk about, as long as he's healthy, he's going to be in the mix. And I think he's going to be in a similar mix that we'll see Dayton Pitzer in, right? I think he can contend with someone like that. Now, the Cassiopes, the Davisons, they're going to be tough tests. But I think he's going to be in the mix with them. Again, similar to Dayton, I don't see him entering that Greg Wyatt tier. But I think he's going to be in so many matches with a lot of guys because the bottom line is he's sick from neutral. He's sick. He can attack both sides. He's got a high pace. He's gotten a little bit bigger. He's not going to be a big heavyweight. He'll be bigger than Pitzer, but he's not going to be big, but he's going to be big enough. And so that's why I'm really excited about Nick Feldman. The other guy I'll mention, I don't know if we're going to see this year, and I'll probably do a separate video about that, but it's Mitchell Messenbrink. I feel certain if he ends up starting for Penn State this year, he's going to place. He's going to place high. I would feel of any freshman here, if you told me all of them were wrestling varsity this year, he's the one I would pick to finish the highest. What he's done on the freestyle level, junior world silver, and this year a junior world champ at 74 kilograms. Look at the guys that win 74 kilogram junior worlds and how they go on to do. They're all great, and Mitchell's going to be one of them. His attack rate's insane. His offense is next level. He can scramble. The freestyle thing, you don't get to see how good he is from the top position. So, but not probably. I don't know. I honestly don't know. But Olympic redshirt is potentially in his future for this year, but we don't know. We'll see. If he goes, he'll do well. So those are the watch outs. I feel most confident in those guys. Then we got the looking goods. You know, they're solid. They had decent years, but not as sure. Nick Bouzakis. Okay. Now, everyone remembers the Tom Crook match where he kind of got handled there, right? Well, okay, that was 141. He's not a 41. That match made that abundantly clear. He's not a 41 pounder. He was undefeated at 133. He went 11-0. Was it against the best competition? No, but he did beat Kyle Biscaglia. Kyle Biscaglia has beaten some good guys in his career, and Nick Bouzakis beat him in a big moment in an important match. So I think Nick Bouzakis could do well. His bonus rate's crazy. He had a lot of pins. He's going to put a lot of guys away. He's got some holes for sure, but that's not something that's unknown to Ohio State or Nick Bouzakis, and they've been working to address him. I think he's going to be really, really good this year, really solid. Another guy I feel good about, Ryan Crookham, but might not start. Conor McGonagal's there at 133. If he does, I think Crookham's going to be good. High pedigree coming into Lehigh. We've seen him. He had a couple national qualifier wins last year. I think he's ready to go. Excited for him. Okay. Now we got a big category. Really big category. This is the dice roll. I do not know. They could be good, but there's not a lot of NCAA data that says they are. And there's a lot of NCAA data in losses that frighten me. A lot of losses to non-qualifiers, non-D1 guys, et cetera, that make you think, okay, maybe not. But we're going to get to them, and I think there's a lot of reasons to be excited by these guys. And remember, they're freshmen. They were true freshmen last year, redshirt freshmen this year. There's such a thing. We're so spoiled by the success of true freshmen and the Spencers and the Yannis and the Levi Hayneses that you forget there's like normal development too. And I think that's what we're going to see with a lot of these guys. I feel confident, maybe not this year, but over time, these are going to be guys that are on the podium for sure. Starting with Bennett Berg. Guys made multiple age-level world teams. He had some losses that were acceptable, not to the best of the best, but he had some good losses. He beat a qualifier in Colton Hawks from Missouri. That guy's pretty good. I think Bennett Berg is going to do a nice job. An Arkansas Little Rock contingent of Stephen Little, 197. He beat Nick Stemment from Stanford. Shout out Nick Stemment, the GOAT. And he beat TJ Stewart, Virginia Tech redshirt. I think Stephen Little's going to be really, really solid. Had a lot of wins last year. Kyle Dutton for Little Rock was a Fargo champ. Big recruit for the Trojans. Coach Arisman, I think a lot of Kyle Dutton. I think he could have a solid year, but the results weren't there. Antre Taylor, he's won. If you look at his NCAA results, not as great. You look at his freestyle results, you see there's something there. He's got a lot of ability. He's got a lot of ways to score from his feet. I think he's going to be up at 165. He had been doing some at 157, but 65 looks like will be his weight. He's got to win that spot. That's not a guarantee, but if he's in there, I think he could do well. We've seen a lot with him in the freestyle. All right, this one has been massively debated at the Flow Sports HQ. Dylan Fishback for NC State. Now, on the one hand, let's take this. High pedigree for Dylan coming out of the state of Ohio. He's going to NC State. High track record of development, okay? On the other side of the coin, he had 4 non-qualifier losses last year during his redshirt year. He had some losses. He lost to 2 West Virginia guys. Shout out Kyle Brackey. And so I'm kind of wondering, how good is he going to be? But Trent Hiley's moving up. It's going to be his weight. The question will be, how's he going to do on the mat? If he can shore up some of his mat liabilities, he's going to be really good. If not this year, somewhere down the line. I feel confident Dylan's going to get there. The question is he going to get there this year? That's what I don't know. Similarly, Ryland Rogers. I feel like we're not talking about this guy very much, but maybe we should. He's going to Michigan. He had a win over Dennis Rodman. No, not Dennis Rodman, although that would be a nice win. That's a champion. Dennis Rodman. Also, interestingly, Ryland Rogers beat not only Dennis Rodman, he also beat James Brown, which... You just said Rodman. I know. if you say it fast, it's like, oh, he did say Rodman. But did he say Rodman? I'm saying it fast enough that it's like, oh, is it? But we'll just say this. He beat Dennis Rodman, and he also beat James Brown. I'm saying that correct. He beat the godfather of soul himself. Now, I haven't done the research to determine if this is the actual James Brown, the funk music legend, or just a wrestler for Virginia Tech. I'm not sure which it was, and we may never know. But those are two huge wins for Ryland Rogers. Dennis Rodman beat Dylan Fishback. And a lot of people are talking up Dylan Fishback a little more than they are Ryland Rogers, but I think this is maybe upside down a little bit. So look out for Ryland Rogers. He obviously, like Dylan, is at a program with a track record of success. They have great training partners there. I think he could do a nice job. Ryland had a solid redshirt year, and they're going to need him. Michigan's going to need him this year. Okay, a couple more dice rolls. UNI Panthers, Panther Train. These guys know how to develop. And so when you look at Wyatt Volker and Corey Land's redshirt year, I don't fret too much, okay? There's not a lot looking at their results to say, hey, they're ready to make a jump and contend for All-American status this year. But high caliber, good recruits, good program, and UNI is going to need them. I think these guys are going to come and contribute, especially Volker. I think he's the most ready to come in and win some matches and get ranked. Corey Land, we'll see. He's got a lot of skills, but we've got to see it translate to the next level. Okay. There's one other guy I want to talk about. He's my wild card. Because I don't know I'm just going to tell a quick story. Okay. I'm at the NWCA Coaches Convention, right? Tons of, as you would expect, coaches are there. And we're at lunch, and it's me and I think Sion and Brian Smith and Kendrick Maple are there. And we're talking through the year, through the lineup. And they obviously know they're talking to me. They're talking to a guy that talks about wrestling for a living. So we're going through the lineup. It's all pretty casual. We're talking. 25, 33, 41, 49. Then we get to 57. And these dudes, they almost got giddy talking about this guy to the point where they're like, let's not talk about this anymore. Like they're like, Kendrick Maple and Brian Smith were almost like making eyes like, let's not, don't go into it too much. It was more like a we'll see, you'll see kind of thing. And I'm talking about Cameron Steed. No one's talking about this guy. And I think you probably should be, if only because of this interaction. Now, am I looking into it too much? That is entirely possible. I'm open to that. But I didn't just take that interaction. I went back and looked. He had a really solid redshirt year. He had wins over a couple NCAA qualifiers. That's meaningful, okay? He's battled some injuries. He was up on Joe Seeley at the Junior Open and then had to forfeit out of that match. Go back and watch. He had the opening takedown and then had to forfeit out of that match. And then I also did a little bit of investigating myself, made some calls, and they said, hey, yeah, Cam's doing really good. There's a high opinion of Cam Steed at Missouri. They're expecting big things from him this year. And so I don't know what that interaction was, but I feel like Kendrick Maple and Brian Smith, by not saying much, said a lot to me. And if there's one thing we know about Missouri, they can really develop. They've had some gyms come out of the woodwork and do really, really well. They've had some hammers come in and look at what the Ben, Max, now Keegan are doing. Those guys are going to be good. Missouri's going to be really good this year. And don't be surprised if Cam Steed's a name we're going to be talking about. So exciting freshman class. I can't wait to see how they all perform. Let me know in the comments who you think's going to have a standout year this year in NCAA wrestling.